क्या बोलूँ मैं? क्या बोलूँ मैं? लाइट चली गई भाई। What the fuck? पहले 10 मिनट भी नहीं हुए थे भाई स्ट्रीम को। It's already fucked up. हाँ, this is bad. This is bad. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say, why is it okay? Part two. एक मिनट। क्या मैंने ऑफिशियली स्पेलिंग गलत डाल दी हर जगह भाई साहब? Of course. Wait a second, guys. Nah, we good. स्पेलिंग से डाले मैंने स्पेलिंग सही सही है। भाई ये क्या भाई? ये तो चीटिंग है भाई। Fuck. This is bad. This is very bad. You be back with the old you. भाई मैं रिकनेक्ट कैसे करूँ भाई? मेरी लाइट आ गई पर मेरा रिकनेक्ट ही नहीं हुआ। ये भी इशू है भाई। मैं रिकनेक्ट नहीं बताऊँ द फक। अगर अपने आप ऑटो रिकनेक्ट हुआ था बट नहीं हुआ। वेरी सैड। ओके वेल हम तो कंटिन्यू करेंगे फर्स्ट स्टडी भाई। लाइक वी आई डोंट केयर भाई। आई डोंट केयर। आई हैव टू स्टडी। आई हैव टू स्टडी दैट्स ऑल। ए मैं आई डोंट थिंक तुम्हें आवाज भी आ रही हो। ऑलराइट सो दैट इज नॉट फेयर। हम्म हम्म टाइम या OLTP is online transaction क्या था? process online latest what the fuck was that? समझ गया। ओके। OLAP और DW है डेटा वेयरहाउसिंग एंड ऑनलाइन ऑनलाइन Analytical function.
Technically, what is happening is that using ETL tools, ETL is extract, transform,
Load,
load,
yeah.
right? You can take data from your RDBMS systems and dump it into
Dump
a
it.
place called a data warehouse.
Just a quick info guys, if you want to become a certified Big Data Hadoop architect, IntelliPath offers you a complete Big Data Hadoop architect
Very
course
nice.
which covers all the major concepts. So for further details, check the description below. Now let's continue with the session.
Now, data warehouse is a fancy term actually. It's not a fancy term, it's a technical term. What is a data warehouse is nothing. Data warehouse is a place where you store, first of all, massive amount of data. Point number one. Point number two, this data is ready to be accessed,
To
ready to
be
be reporting. So if I have a
analyzed.
BI
Yeah.
tool, my BI tool can be directly installed on my data warehouse and it can
Oh,
produce nice reports, etc., etc.
to
And a
load the
data
data
warehouse
warehouse.
is
Yeah.
internal to your company. You don't have public access,
That's one of
because
yeah.
this is your private storage. I'm collecting all the data and dumping into this guy so that this guy holds the whole data, and now I can do whatever I want with my data. Very simple. Organizations were doing this for quite some time. You go to any enterprise organization, what they do is that they will have multiple OLTP systems.
Oh,
They
the
keep on
wow.
collecting the data, nightly cron jobs or whatever you want, and then dump it
Ah,
into a data warehouse, right? Now, the data warehouse will hold historical data. So this
yeah.
guy has historical data, meaning it will have this year data, last to last year data, a lot of data, right? And on this data, you can do whatever analysis you want. Very simple. So data warehouse is a place where you store massive amount of data ready for analysis, and you do not typically have what you say public access to this thing, right? And that is now, if you look at the players in data warehouse, you have many companies who are doing this. There is somebody called Teradata, which is a major player actually. You also have Oracle Exadata. These are all data warehousing companies, okay? You have
Okay.
SAP HANA, you have Netezza, Greenplum, etc., etc. These are all data warehousing companies. So in your organization, if you want to implement a data warehouse, what you do is that you go to, let's say, Teradata and say that, hey, Teradata, you know what? I want to implement a data warehouse in my company. So Teradata says, all righty, take this and go. So they will give you practically an appliance, like a box, which you install in your company, and then you can load it with data. It stores, you analyze the data. So
So
the question
nice.
is, why am I talking about this? What is the big deal about this? See, there is no big deal about this,
But
but so
big
far, whatever I was discussing is how the world was working. Now, everything seems
uh,
nice here.
was.
Okay, nice. We have OLTP systems. We take ETL. We dump the data into
Yeah.
data warehouse. We produce reports. Nice and happy. But only one major problem. And the problem is this: dollar, 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 money, money. Okay. The problem is cost aspect. Data warehousing
Yeah.
is a
Yeah. I
costly
guess.
affair,
I
to
guess.
be honest with you, right? For example, if you want to
Subscription based.
implement a Teradata solution, it will cost you millions of dollars,
Oh yeah.
practically
I mean,
speaking.
one time use of
It is
developer.
not so easy. Also, it is not so cheap.
Yeah.
People who are
I
working in the
guess.
data warehousing background will be able to comment on this, but data warehousing is a costly affair, right? So that is the backdrop. That is the history that we are talking about. Now, now enters Hadoop. So here is your Hadoop cluster. So what is this? Your organization has a Hadoop cluster. Now
Okay.
imagine your organization already has a Hadoop cluster. Fine. What is the problem? In a Hadoop cluster, obviously you can store big data. Hmm? Right. But what happened was that somewhere in 2006, Hmm? the company called Facebook got interested in Hadoop. So Facebook was dealing with this big data problem. So basically, Facebook was in the growing stage in 2005, 2006, etc. And Facebook was getting a lot of users at that point in time. And Facebook was thinking that, you know what, everything is working fine, but we really don't have a solution for storing big data and analyzing big data. And Facebook was running completely on Oracle. Oracle was their prime backend actually, and Python. Python plus Oracle, that was Facebook's initial, architecture, right? Now, somewhere in 2006, somebody told Facebook that, hey, you know what? Why are you so worried about storage of data? There is something new in the market called Hadoop. And if you implement a Hadoop cluster, you can store unlimited data practically because Hadoop is
What?
naturally the solution for big data, right? So
Wow.
Facebook got interested in this idea and they immediately implemented a Hadoop cluster. So practically speaking, the entire data that Facebook was storing and analyzing, they moved into Hadoop.
तो
But
यूट्यूब
what
भी
was the
यूज कर रहा
problem? Back in 2006, we were at Hadoop version 1 or the old
हूँ
Hadoop
यार
or the original Hadoop.
और
And you know what? The original Hadoop had only map reduce. That means if you want to interact with the data in a Hadoop cluster, the only way was that you must write a map reduce program, right? You have to write a MapReduce program. This became a problem for Facebook because every day Facebook needed to fire 70,000 queries, SQL queries. The requirement of Facebook was that every day they had to fire 70,000 SQL queries on their data. And this was working when they were having Oracle. Even though it was slow, they were able to somehow manage because Oracle is a typical RDBMS. You can easily write 70,000 queries. Now, what happened all of a sudden, the whole data is moved into Hadoop, no more Oracle. So the developers at Facebook faced a serious problem. The problem was that now the entire data is in Hadoop. hmm, And Hadoop doesn't
एसक्यूएल
understand SQL. Hadoop never understands SQL. What Hadoop understands? Hadoop understands MapReduce. And if you
ओके
want to write a MapReduce program, you have to learn Java, you have to write your program, you have to
ओ
compile it, create a jar file,
एंड
deploy it.
डिप्लो ओह
It's not
शिट
easy. If you're a SQL developer, trust me, learning Java is not going to be so fun for you, right?
हाँ यार
Because
मैं
SQL
मेरा
developers, we tend to be, more towards the SQL side of the spectrum. We don't really are not programmers, right? So all of a sudden, all the employees in Facebook started complaining. They said that till yesterday, our SQL queries were working on the data. Today, when I write a SQL query, I'm not able to run the query. What happened? So Facebook said, guys, we just
हडूप
moved
हैपेंड
everything into Hadoop. Well, that's not justice. That's not just, right? So in Hadoop, you cannot run SQL queries or you were not able to run SQL queries. Then what was the alternative? The alternative was to write a map reduce program for a SQL query. And that's practically madness because for a simple select count star query, you have to write 100 lines of code in Java and compile it. And imagine 70,000 queries. So what Facebook did is that they thought, all right, we need a solution for this. We have a lot of structured data in Hadoop, but unfortunately, our developers are not able to access the data. So what we can do? And thus, Hive was born.
फेसबुक ने
Hive
बहुत
was
सारे
created by
किया भाई
Facebook.
उसमें या
Later, they donated Hive to Apache as a top level project. But the first Hive version rolled out from Facebook.
फेसबुक
So
ओके
the next
नाइस
big
दैट
question,
वाज नाइस
what exactly is Hive? Imagine you are storing some data in Hadoop, storing structured data. Let's say you're storing a data called sales.txt, a
ओके
text file called sales.txt. Imagine. And imagine this text file has a structure like, comma separated values, imagine, so they are having order number, product ID, blah, blah, blah. It's a very big file actually. You store it in Hadoop. Now, if you want to analyze this file, you can write a MapReduce program. Or, or what you can do, you install Hive, right? Now, Hive will give you a shell or a command line. You write SQL on the Hive's command line, right? You say select count star from this table. You write a SQL on Hive's command line, hit return, meaning run the query. What Hive will do, it will convert your query into a MapReduce program, run it in the cluster, and show you the
Yeah.
result. That is Hive. Hive is a SQL interface on Hadoop, and it is the default data warehousing framework on top of Apache Hadoop. So what is a
Oh,
data warehouse? A data warehouse is nothing, a huge storage with a SQL interface. Data warehouse is huge storage with SQL interface. Now you already have Hadoop, which is huge storage. You install Hive, you get a SQL interface.
ह्यूज
You
स्टोरेज का मतलब क्या
practically
मतलब भाई?
create
आई
a
मीन
data
कुछ
warehouse with zero
डेफिनेशन?
investment. That is the advantage of Hive. Hive is free. You just install it. You can start writing SQL and you can access structured data using SQL. You can do all
तो वो हाइव नहीं बेच रहे, पहली बार वो हडूप बेच रहे हैं, which is जहाँ स्टोर हुआ है ऐसे डेटा। आई एम प्रीटी श्योर।
interface. You practically create a data warehouse
हडूप फ्री है मतलब? हडूप भी फ्री है मतलब?
with zero investment. That
जीरो
is the
इन्वेस्टमेंट?
advantage of Hive. Hive is free. You just install
हाइव
it.
इज
You
फ्री?
can start writing SQL
हडूप?
and you can access structured data using SQL. You can do all your regular operations, creation of tables, left outer join, right outer join, group by queries, blah, blah, blah. That is Hive.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to become a certified Big
Hey
Data
yo,
Hadoop
is once
architect,
again
IntelliPath offers you a
हाइव।
complete Big Data Hadoop architect course below.
थैंक यू सो
Now,
मच भाई
Hive
साहब।
is what we are seeing right now.
या
HBase is your default NoSQL database on top of Hadoop. But remember, HBase is the default Apache NoSQL database on top of Hadoop, right?
ओके।
The real question is that why somebody should use Hive? You should use Hive. Say, for example, I don't want to learn Java. I don't want to learn MapReduce. I'm not a
मैं जहाँ पे
programmer.
यूज नहीं किया
I
है
know
ये
SQL. Then Hive is
सीक्वल
your
वाला।
choice because it just understands SQL and it'll automatically convert that into MapReduce
मैं
so that
प्रोड्यूस
you don't have to sit and learn Java and MapReduce. You
या
write your
दैट इज
logic
फक्ड
in
अप।
SQL and
नहीं
it
मैं मैप प्रोड्यूस लाइब्रेरी मतलब जावा
works. Imagine you
फाइल
have
टर्म्स लाइब्रेरी में
what you say
पैकेज।
an Android
नहीं पैकेज
mobile
तो
phone,
कुछ
right?
फाइल
Now
में
what
कहीं बड़ा से नहीं
happens
गया मैं।
is that in the Android mobile phone, when you're buying a mobile phone, obviously, right? You get a default, what you say, calling option, messaging option, etc. You can call people, you can text people, you can do a lot of things with an Android mobile phone. But you can also download apps. For example, if I want to catch a taxi, I will download and install Uber. If I want to check WhatsApp, I will download and install WhatsApp. Similarly, Hive is a tool which you have to install on top of Hadoop. So that is why it is called as an ecosystem tool.
या
Ecosystem tool means tools which can be installed on top of Hadoop. Think about Hadoop like
प्लगइन्स।
your Android operating system and
अच्छा
Hive
हाइव इज अ
like
प्लगइन
Uber app you are installing on top of that, right? So Hive can talk to Hadoop.
एक्सटेंशन।
It gets installed on top of Hadoop. Point number one, right? Now,
वन
another
मोर
point. Where is Hive?
पॉइंट नंबर वन।
Right? So the first question is,
वेरी
where
वेरी
is Hive getting installed? Is it inside the cluster? Is it outside the cluster? Is it on top of my head? I don't know, right? Where are you installing Hive?
ओके।
So I have a Hadoop cluster, right? Now the point you have to understand is that Hive doesn't have any storage. Hive doesn't have any storage. For example, let's say you're copying a data. So I'm copying a data called, let's say, transaction dot XLS. It's a spreadsheet. I'm copying a file
एक्सेलर्स 2007।
called transaction dot
वाह।
XLS. Now what happens in my
2000
Hadoop, this
हम
gets
से
divided into
शायद
blocks
बताते हैं वो बताते हैं।
in data nodes. We are all familiar with this, right? When you copy the data, what happens? The
या
data gets divided into blocks on my
ओके।
Hadoop, right? So
या
in Hive, when you say create a table and load the data, Hive will refer to this data which is lying as blocks on your data nodes. It doesn't have its
Oh, let's
own
go back. Let's
that
go
you're
back. Let's go
familiar
back.
with.
Let's
This
go back. Let's
called
go back.
transaction.xls. Now what happens in my Hadoop, this gets divided into blocks in data nodes. We are all familiar with this, right? When you copy the data, what happens? The data gets divided into blocks on my Hadoop, right?
Okay.
So in Hive, when you say create a table and load the data, Hive will refer to this data which is lying as blocks on your data nodes. It doesn't
Okay.
have its own storage. Very important point. So Hive is just giving you a projection of your data. Your original data is lying as blocks in data nodes. And when in Hive you say create a table, you're just giving a structure to the data so that you can see the data in the form of a table. Clear? So Hive doesn't use any storage, right?
Okay.
The
I don't think
second
so.
point you need to understand is that if I am sitting here, okay, and I have a laptop or a desktop, Hive is a client-side application.
Hmm. Yeah.
For the time being, I will explain more about this, meaning Hive gets installed on
Why?
your laptop,
Why?
not in the Hadoop cluster. Now, there is a slight
Why?
variation to this, but for the time being, let's assume like this. That means, and your laptop is obviously connected to the cluster. You will have Hadoop client libraries, so your laptop can access the Hadoop cluster. So
Yeah.
Hive is a client-side application. That means you install Hive on your laptop, open the Hive shell, you will say create table, hmm, and you will give some schema, whatever schema you want. Okay, then you will say insert the data into the table.
हाइव हाइव मतलब हाइव पहले से क्लाइंट है SQL क्लाइंट है उसके बाद हडूप है दो क्लाइंट्स के थ्रू जा रहा है पूरे डेटा मतलब हाइव कन्वर्ट करे सिर्फ हाइव कन्वर्ट करे मैग्नीट्यूड में बूम आ जा रहा है तो वहाँ पे सारी क्वेरी बूम वो डिस्प्ले देगा सिर्फ
Now, what is this data you are inserting? This data is these blocks. That's what I'm saying. You are not inserting anything. When you say insert the data, Hive will just
बट विल इट चेंज
refer to these blocks
ओके आई डोंट थिंक वो चेंज करेगा वो सिर्फ जो लाइक वो क्रिएट
in
टेम्पलेट
your
दिखाने का
Hadoop. And then you
आई
say,
गेस
do a group by query or some SQL query. What Hive will do, it will generate the jar file, right? And send it
हम्म
to the Hadoop cluster. So for Hadoop, there is nothing called Hive. For Hadoop, it is just a map reduce program.
ओके
Let's understand that Hive is a client-side application. That means you install Hive on your laptop. And why are you installing Hive on your laptop? Because you don't know MapReduce. And you are a SQL developer. And you know that
एक्चुअली
there is
आई
structure
थिंक आई कैन प्रीटी श्योर मैं एक सिलेक्ट स्टेटमेंट डाल सकता हूँ मेरा मैप डिटेल्स में अगर बिकॉज़ आई कैन डू सम
data in Hadoop.
लेट मी सी कि उसका याद भी है भाई ओके आई डोंट इवन नो भाई इसका मतलब
You want to
स्टार्टिंग में क्या
create
डाल
a table out of the data and do the queries. So you install Hive
भूल
on your
गया भाई
laptop,
याद भी है
say create a table, load the data, write your query, hit enter. Hive will automatically write the equivalent MapReduce program, create a
ओके
jar file, send it to the cluster. So from the point of view of the Hadoop cluster, it is a regular MapReduce program. It's not Hive. Hadoop doesn't understand Hive. Hadoop understands MapReduce. So either you can write MapReduce, create a jar, say run. Or you write in Hive, Hive is also going to create a jar and say run, same thing. That means Hive doesn't have its own storage or anything. It is just accessing the data in Hadoop and giving a projection. So that it is easy for you to work with. Now, you cannot work on blocks or data nodes and all. If you can see your whole data in a table, it's easy for you to write queries, right? And that is Hive giving you. It is giving you a projection of structured data stored in Hadoop. That's it. So Hive understands your SQL,
ठीक है
even though Hive's language is called Hive Query Language, or we call it as HQL. It is pretty much similar to SQL. So that means if you're a SQL developer, you know SQL queries, you can easily start working on Hive.
हाइव
Introduction of
ओके
Hive.
ओके
Hive
ओके
is a data warehouse infrastructure that is built on top of Hadoop. Hive provides a mechanism to project structure on the data using SQL-like language called
Okay,
Hive
तो I mean वो
SQL.
सेम ही है मतलब सीक्वल की तरह ही है
Hive
इधर
uses
चेंज
MapReduce and
मेरा बट
HDFS for processing and storage retrieval of data. Now that we understand, the data is an HDFS, processing is done by MapReduce. Now there is a small point here. It's not exactly MapReduce, right? But for the time being, let's keep it as MapReduce. The advantages of using Hive, it can be used as an ETL tool in the sense you can bring data to a Hive table, modify the data,
फिल्टर्स जॉइन
store it
ग्रुप
as
बाय ऑन टॉप
containary.
ऑफ
It provides
मैप
capability
एंड
of
इट
querying and analysis.
अलग
Hive
अलग
is actually used by the analyst community who's very good at SQL, can handle large data sets, and you can do filters, join, group by, all these SQL queries on top of map and reduce. Now, if you
ओके
ask me, can I see the MapReduce code created by Hive? No,
yep
you cannot see.
fuck
Hmm? So the MapReduce code created by Hive is not visible. You will just get a jar file. You won't even see the jar file. You will see the jar file running, right?
ओके ओके बट अगर oh shit no would you see भाई कितना बड़ा कोड जाता बट fuck like this is bad this is fucking bad okay this is bad
Now, the most important point you have to remember is that Hive is expected to be slow. It is slow because ultimately it is MapReduce. It's not like your Oracle or MySQL or something because in any RDBMS systems, typically when you write a query, you will expect the results within second, within microsecond. In
yeah
Hive, when you write a query, sometimes I have seen queries taking 4 hours, 5 hours. Why? Because, it's just an illusion where not to use Hive. So this is very important point where you should not be using Hive. Hive should not be used if the data does not cross gigabytes. That means if you are not having big data, why are you using Hive, right? You can stick with your traditional tools. If we don't find schema or bringing in schema is difficult or not possible. Now the point is that when you access Hive, you have to create a table. Hive works on the concept of databases and tables, right? And whenever you're defining a table, the table should have a schema. Now, if your data cannot fit into the table, there is no point in loading the data. Let's say you're getting some type of data. Let's say you're getting text data, raw text data, right?
okay
Now, in that data, you're not able to find a structure to the data. Imagine, I'm just saying you imagine. Imagine you're getting raw data, plain free-form text, right? So in free-form
unless we are
text
fucked
data, how do you find a structure?
or
You
and
cannot find a
incomplete
structure. That means you cannot use Hive on top of that data. So you have to use Hive where you can find some structure to the data. Maybe you have comma separated values, space separated values, column separated values, something, or JSON files. Imagine you're getting raw data, plain free-form text. You cannot find a structure. That means you cannot use Hive on top of that data. So you have to use Hive where you can find some structure to the data. Maybe you
some
have
okay
comma separated values, space
okay
separated values, column separated
so
values,
मतलब
something, or
it is
JSON
structured in it
files,
but
XML files, even semi-structured data. They can all fit into Hive.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to become a certified Big Data Hadoop architect,
hmm
IntelliPath offers you a complete Big Data Hadoop architect course which covers
yep
all
I
the
do know
major
that
concepts. So, for
I do know
further
that
details, check the description below. Now, let's continue with the session.
Now, the next case is if we need response in seconds and low latency applications. I told you Hive is expected to be slow.
so yeah
And if you
what the
are
fuck
looking for a faster solution, don't use Hive. If RDBMS can solve, don't invest time in Hive. Very
the
important
fuck
point. Hive is not a replacement for RDBMS or something. Okay, because RDBMS systems are
भाई हाइप की बात भी नहीं है मेन टेक्नोलॉजी इज हडूप
real-time.
ऑफ कोर्स जो उनको like जो तुमने कहा एक अनलिमिटेड स्टोरेज दे रहा है आई डोंट नो हाउ द फक वो हो रहा है अनलिमिटेड स्टोरेज so that's possible but I'm pretty sure YouTube भी सारा कुछ समझ
Systems,
यूज कर रहा होगा
and Hive
तो इतना
is
का
not
डेटा
something
फिर
which can
कहाँ
replace
छाते में
them.
डालता है
If your RDBMS can solve your most of your problems, then don't use Hive. Hive is specifically for huge amount of structured data. Say you want to create a table, size of the table is 3 terabytes.
What?
Very good. Do it in Hive. Query the table. Your SQL will be very easy. Even though it takes some time, you will get the result. That is
Okay.
where
The thing is, अगर कोई मेरे से जो भाई ट्राई ट्राई करके भाई क्वेरीज को एडवांस करता है भाई, ओ इज फक्ड। आई थिंक वो स्टार्टिंग में एंड एंड क्वेरी डालनी पड़ेगी भाई, एंड परफेक्ट इट शुड वर्क। अदरवाइज मेरे 4 घंटे, आई डोंट थिंक शायद से मतलब इशू होगा बनी।
your Hive's use case will come. So think about Hive like a translator. It's a translator. You write SQL, it speak MapReduce to Hadoop, right? And Hadoop gives the result, it shows as a table to you. So for
या
you, the developer, everything is SQL and table. For Hadoop, everything is MapReduce. And Hive stands in the middle. Now, what is the similarity with SQL and difference from SQL? Hive is very similar to SQL-like queries. It is based on actually SQL 92 framework, and it is safe to say that its functions are mostly same. What is the difference from SQL? The major difference is that Hive query executes on
हडूप कैसे
Hadoop
वर्क करता है भाई?
rather
मैंने
than
हाइप तो सिर्फ भाई वो है भाई, हडूप कैसे वर्क करता है मेरे को उस पे याद है थोड़ा भाई। भाई वो इतना डेटा स्टोर कैसे कर पा रहा है भाई वो एट द एंड?
traditional database. That means you cannot install Hive outside Hadoop. It works only on HDFS. This allows Hive to scale to handle huge data sets, which cannot be done by RDBMS. The internal execution of a Hive query is via a series of automatically generated MapReduce jobs, right? So the next question naturally you will have is that, oh, I understand Hive, but can I fine tune Hive? What about
Oh,
performance? Can I
oh,
improve the
nice.
performance? Can I do
Yes.
something with Hive? Yes, you can do. Now all Hive queries will be converted to MapReduce job. So
Yeah.
why can't we write MapReduce ourselves? So this is one question people ask. See, Hive is converting everything into MapReduce. So why don't you just write MapReduce for God's sake, right? Why are you using Hive? Understanding the internals of Hadoop framework is must to write MapReduce. SQL engineers can quickly write Hive scripts. Now, if you want to write MapReduce, right, you have to learn Java or Python or Ruby or C Sharp, right? Then you
As
have
for
to
Python on my
implement
end.
your logic or using MapReduce framework. You have to write your custom mapper, custom reducer, package it as a jar file, resolve all the complexities, errors. Now here, you don't have to do any debugging, anything. Create a table, write your query, and it just works. That is how it works. So the next point is that now talking about the real world. Okay, so let's suppose you learn Hive in our IntelliPath course and you master Hive. And what
Okay.
did I teach you? I taught you that Hive is a SQL interface to Hadoop. Fine,
Yeah.
you understand that, right? And then you go to a real world project, okay? And then you go to the project and say that, you know what, I'm an expert in Hive.
Fuck no.
Hmm? An expert in Hive. I know Hive really well. You want to say to your project. And these guys are going to tell you that, you know what, you can use Hive or you can use Hive plus this. You can use
The fuck is that?
Impala.
इम्फाला
You
मैंने
can
शायद सुना।
use Spark SQL.
स्पार्क को भी
You
सुना
can
मैंने।
use Phoenix.
What the fuck is
What
that?
did I just do? I just blew your mind out of proportion. So when you go to
Yeah.
a real project, in a real world project, and you ask them, okay, I have data on Hadoop, give me a SQL tool, they will either give you Hive or give you Hive plus this or give you Impala or give you Spark SQL or give you Phoenix. And you are like, oh my God, there is only Hive that is a SQL interface. Now I am in a dilemma because these guys are talking about this, Impala, Spark SQL, Phoenix. And trust me, if you write a SQL query, it will be executed the same way in all these platforms. You write a group by query, Hive will execute it. Hive plus theirs will execute it. Impala will execute it. Spark
And
SQL will execute it.
the
Phoenix will
fuck?
also execute it. So the real question is, what are these different tools?
What the
Right?
fuck?
So this is some real world info to you guys, right?
Okay,
See,
man, that's good. Thank you so
Hive
much.
is the original tool.
Okay, yeah.
This came
First.
first, right?
Hmm.
So Hive is the
Hmm.
first Avenger. So this is
Captain America.
the first Avenger. So this is the first guy who came into the world, right?
Unless
So when
Eternals.
Hive
उनसे पहले
came,
कौन आए थे?
everybody was happy.
हैं? उनसे पहले कौन आए थे भाई? Let me see भाई, दिमाग लगाता हूँ थोड़ा। एवेंजर से पहले तो कोई था नहीं ना? लाइक फर्स्ट एवेंजर तो वही वही है, बट आई थिंक अगर हम थोड़ा ऐसे टाइम वॉक करेंगे, बट आई एम प्रीटी श्योर कुछ ना कुछ ग्लिच आ जाएगा।
So people said, all right, fantastic. Now I got SQL interface. I can write a query, and you know what? The query executes nice. But over a period of
Oh, it's
time,
8. It is fucking 8, bro. Good thing, guys. I don't think. I think Srinu चली गई होगी, right? एक second, एक second, एक second. Yeah. Don't matter. I'm doing chores. I think मुझको इस बनाना चाहिए सही यार. मैं chores करूँ तो I think तुम्हें बता I have to do some chores, you know. And this pictures going nuts. Actually, गरम है तो अच्छा लग रहा है मेरे
Over a period of time, people didn't really like Hive. People said like, all right, Hive is great, but the problem is that the queries are damn slow.
Yep.
You know, the other day I wrote a query, it took a day to give me the result. I
अगर
don't really
बिलियन
like
अगर
Hive.
टेराबाइट का
Give me
डेटा है हाँ
something else.
यस आई गेस
That is when, that is when the company called Hortonworks started proposing Hive and Thais. Now, what happens here is that if you access a Hortonworks Hadoop cluster and you write a Hive query, say execute, the Hive query will be converted into Thais, not MapReduce. So original Hive is Hive plus MapReduce. Hortonworks Hive is Hive plus Thais. So what is Thais? Thais is a framework, Apache framework. Probably if you're interested, you dig deeper. Well, Thais is created to make MapReduce faster. So I don't want to get into details of Thais. I'm just giving you some extra information. For the time being, understand that Thais is a framework which is built to overcome the problems in MapReduce. MapReduce is ideally slow. MapReduce is normally slow, right? So some guys built something called Thais, and Thais also uses mappers and reducers and all, but Thais is much, much faster than your MapReduce, right? So Thais is a Hindi word. It stands for speed, and it is created by Indians. It is the
ओह
next level of MapReduce, you can say.
नाइस
So what Hortonworks did, they
अरे
said,
तेज भाई
see,
मतलब
what
मैं कुछ भी
Hortonworks
सकता
did,
हूँ
they said, why don't
नाइस
we club Hive and Thay so that queries are faster? Are you getting the point? So if you are on a Hortonworks cluster, you write a Hive query, say execute, you will see a Thay's job firing. You will never see a MapReduce job firing because
ओके
Hortonworks promotes Thay's. Even though
तेज
Thay's
ओके
is Apache open source, Hortonworks says they promote Thay's and they say that's
some
their queries are faster.
faster
So your first Avenger original Hive is damn
damn
slow.
slow okay yeah got
Hmm?
it
Now
yeah
Hive plus Thay's, this guy is interactive. Interactive query means it is faster but not real time. So if you are writing a Hive query on a Hortonworks cluster, it uses Thais as an execution engine and it is faster, but it's not real time or something. It's kind of like faster. So when Hortonworks started
10%
this,
increase
even before that, there is another company called Cloudera. There is a company called Cloudera.
hmm.
Cloudera, what they did, they invented something called Impala. Impala is again built on top of Hive.
इम्फाल इम्फाल था ना इम्फाल किसके oh shit इम्फाल किसकी थी भाई कैप्टन fuck इम्फाल में टी से कौन सी टी से कोई स्टेट भी थी मेघालय के नीचे कौन सी स्टेट थी क्या मैं भूल रहा हूँ क्या मैं आई वाज द बेस्ट इन ज्योग्राफी ब्रो एक मिनट टी से कोई fuck इम्फाल
Impala is a SQL interface, but what happens if you write a SQL query on top of Impala, it will run it using a daemon called Impala D. It doesn't use MapReduce, it doesn't use
ट्यून
Taste, it uses a proprietary Impala D to run. So
राइट
this
राइट
is
डोरेंट क्लाउड
promoted
एरा
by Cloudera, and this is also interactive.
इंटरैक्टिव
Now, Hortonworks will say that Hive plus
दे
this is
फास्टर
faster. Cloudera will say Impala is faster. That is a
बट
war
सर आई
going on
नीड
for like past 4 years. Nobody knows. Both are same. But whether it is Hive plus this or Impala
दे
is
आर
again
बट
a SQL
फास्टर
interface for you.
या
Only difference, if you're on a Hortonworks cluster, the execution is done by this.
तेज
If you're on a Cloudera cluster,
तेज
execution is done by a daemon called Impala. And
इम्फाल
there is somebody called Spark. Spark has a SQL interface that's called Spark SQL. If you write a query on Spark SQL, again same SQL, this will be converted into Spark, and this is almost real time. So this is
Ooh,
faster.
nice. So we are getting faster.
Look at this, look at this. Hive taste, SQL, Hive, taste. But in Hortonworks, you can also say that I don't want taste, I want MapReduce. They can switch the engine. So these are all additional information, extra information, but good to know things,
The
right?
fuck?
So Phoenix is SQL interface on top of NoSQL.
Okay, I don't think I
That
know so
means
bro.
HBase is your
Huh.
NoSQL database, right?
Mhm.
And HBase doesn't understand SQL. So if you do not know the language of HBase, you install Phoenix, you write your SQL query, it's going to convert in the language of HBase, show you the result.
Okay.
Original Hive plus MapReduce is batch processing, very slow. Taze and
Map
Impala
reduce.
are
Map
similar, interactive, but
map
Taze is
reduce.
Hortonworks, Impala is Cloudera. That
Map
means you will never
reduce.
see Taze on Cloudera and Impala on Hortonworks.
कितना
Spark
अरे
SQL is
बना
again on Spark framework. Phoenix is on HBase. Difference between different Hive.
Spark
For
and Phoenix.
example,
Okay.
you have something called Hive.
Oh yeah
Then
yeah.
you
I mean
have
वही पढ़
something
रहे हैं.
called Hive Server 1.
What the fuck?
Then you have something called Hive Server 2 plus Beeline.
Oh,
So what are these terms? What is pure Hive? What do you mean by Hive
pure
Server
high
1?
first in
What
first
do you
when
mean by Hive Server 2 plus Beeline?
beeline. Yeah.
See,
I mean
so
I don't
this
know.
is something which you have to understand from the technical point of view.
Okay.
Originally, only Hive was there,
Yeah, I
and
think I know
this
that.
is
Right side.
just a client
Yeah.
side
मैंने नीचे पढ़
application
लिया था but still I think I knew the
with
answer.
with uh, with a with
What?
an interactive shell,
Okay.
meaning
Okay. ठीक
the
है.
original Hive, what you call
Nine
the
side
pure
control
Hive, is just a client side application. That means if you are a developer, you take your laptop, install Hive, you get a command line. Hmm? In the command line, you say create a table, drop a table, do the query, blah, blah, blah. It just works. There is no server, only client.
Wait a second, my guy is taking way too long. We are going to do a short film. I'm भाई मैं SQL चल रहा था भाई hacker. मैं कल की query I think I remember वो मैंने नहीं की थी. Let's complete that. Then we'll come back. We learn for 10 minutes. Boom. Switch again. Yeah, मैं ये भी हूँ. I think it should work here. I don't know man, but so, okay. तो मेरे को I know about not round CEIL. Okay. So let's start once again. I have the table. यार मेरे को मतलब सैलरी मिल रखी है और उसने जीरो आई थिंक और वो डाल नहीं पाई, ठीक है, कि खराब हो गया था। सो ये एक्चुअली टेबल है जो हमें बार मतलब लाइक आई डोंट नो दैट भाई, आई मीन सैंपल इनपुट को दिखना चाहिए था कि भाई सैंपल इनपुट चेक नहीं किया, यू नो आई तो कंस्ट्रेंट मतलब कौन दुखने वाला है bro? So let's just do select, let's do simple from employees. Now we can do here is क्या कर सकते हैं, let me check. हम्म ओके, तो पहला मेरे पास एक्चुअल इनपुट जो ये है, जो मतलब एक्चुअल जो एक्यूरेट वाली वैल्यूज है, जो एक्चुअल वैल्यू एक्यूरेट ए सी टी यू एक्चुअल वैल्यूज है वो ये हैं, एंड देन वी हैव टू रिमूव द जीरोस, एवरी जीरो लाइक जीरोस हर जगह से हटाने हैं। So we can use both regex and replace, which I tried. But replace is faster. So let's try with replace first. Then regex. We'll find out. Yeah. Select. Let's just say क्या क्या लिखूँ इसमें? क्या लिख सकता हूँ मैं? हम्म 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 Never let you go. Is AVG salary? I'm pretty sure. I think multi number. Then we will try. We will try. Um, let's see इसका क्या आंसर आ रहा है. We'll check. We'll check. We'll check. Let's see इसका क्या आंसर आ रहा है. I don't think. I don't even think. Okay. We got this answer, which I'm pretty sure is not correct. कि there's no way this is correct. मैंने replace किया हुआ. So I think what I did wrong is oh, okay. I did not see that. This should okay. I'm not getting the right answer. But while you're working, you मेरा query करता है. Okay, this is bad. This is bad, guys. This is fucking bad. I do know कि मैं पढ़ा था कि इसको पहले मैं sharp like is that मेरे को वो करना है वापस से. तो मैं रट रहा हूँ इसलिए भाई, तभी मेरी गलती है खुद से. I solved this page, bro. I solved this. Actual is जो I think जो लिखा हुआ है. इनमें क्या वो है क्या ये तो. हाँ fuck, that is only. ये क्या हो रहा है? What the fuck? How the fuck? Miss. Let's do miss as miss. We'll do another. AVG cell average salary. I think we should get both the answers. We should get both the answers. Yep. Now we're good. Okay. Sorry, third side. never let you go. I am here with you. Okay, मैंने वहाँ पे गलत टाइप कर दिया, but I'm pretty sure मैं सही लिखा था. Far away. A minute, am I doing this correct? Oh, let's check. हमें इसको मिस करने की जरूरत भी नहीं है. Like fuck it. Let's just run this bitch. We have to add shell here as well. Oh, wait a second. Let's try this. इसे वो कर दे, then मैं वो करूँगा पूरा. It did not work. Okay. Let's see if this bitch works now. Got it. I got it. Okay, so replace work. Oh, thank you so much. This worked. वो क्या करना है अब? Let's go with regex replace. Huh. But we shall. We will use a CT here. Okay, let's just go with Miss S. I told you guys मेरे को CT use करना है. I don't know. I guess just no. I don't know क्या होने वाला है. But we shall try. तो मैं ऐसे एक स्टेटमेंट as ACT. मिस सैक्रेट करता हूँ जो भी हो. Okay, the fuck, sir, please. As miss. There's no way why this works. I have no. There's no way this works. There's no way this works. There is no way. देखो इसको भी इग्नोर कर दिया. नहीं. There is actually zero. Correct. Actually, oh, the reason why. Okay, there's some. It should. It is exactly the same Jora, baby. Let me just check it. Okay, boom. Boom, these are connected. Every salary. No, okay, this should work. मैंने जैसे दो चीजें चेंज की, which is not fair actually में. Now we should use. but the thing was कि मुझे character डाल. This should not work. Hmm. ये 100% गलत है, but I just wanted to check. Yep. Yep. Music on the Hey, yeah, begging, begging you. This, I got this. Okay, this as well. Oh, I forgot to use one essential image. Okay, then this is the sad now. It should work. Again, I didn't expect it. That was all my important word pass. But let me check it. This represents. It should be good. Okay. Okay. Moe yaar. 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. I'm here with you. Let's open my chat GPT. ओके मेरे बाल से मैं बहुत गंदे लग रहे हैं भाई लाइक आई कांट इवन आई एम प्रीटी बैड और मैं ये कुछ हेल्प नहीं कर रहा है ओके यू नो व्हाट इसके साथ थोड़ा बेटर हो गया बट आई डोंट नो क्या हो रहा है बालों को भाई मेरे बाल अलग अलग डायरेक्शन में आ रहे हैं आंसर बन होगा मतलब एम आई गेटिंग या हो इज अ गुड डे भाई नो ये कास्ट प्लेस यूज कर रहे हैं सो ओके ओके सो आई डोंट डू आई नॉट नीड दैट अगर मैंने ओके या वाई दो व्हाट तो देख रहा है ना like we are here why the postman did right query oh shit was this average क्या जीरो भी डाला था इस time oh ये round है oh shit round है so far lolly मुझे अभी पूरी हाँ मैं यार मेरे भाई I don't know भाई मैंने किया ऐसा but मैंने दोनों methods कर लिया the only thing is can I do okay पहले भाई can I do with wait okay मैं पहले लिंक किया why the fuck did it not work I did the exact same shit ओके, वो एज अनसाइन लिखना पड़ेगा क्या? क्योंकि यहाँ पे does not make sense, but यहाँ पे लिखना कहाँ पे है रिक्वायरमेंट? इसका खत्म है। Yup, it is. Now this should work. This should fucking work. Yep. Got it. What is as unsigned in God? Also explain God and its functions, how it can be used in what the fucking learning. One day, oh, मैं कोई भी डेटा टाइप कन्वर्ट कर सकता हूँ। नाइस 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 नाइस। Oh, damn. Oh, हाँ, oh, I forgot. Unsigned, unsigned, unsigned. Oh, integer unsigned वाला. Okay, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Now I understand. So yeah, say positive values and you cannot. Huh. But if there is to assign it's a fine. Fuck, I can't. Bro, let me see the studies काम ये होता है. Okay, ये मैंने भी किया है. हाँ, तभी मैं गलत कर रहा. वो पहले से कन्वर्ट हो रहा है, अब मैं समझ आया. रिप्लेस मतलब रिप्लेस ऑटोमेटिकली भाई वो कन्वर्ट कर देता है. Something done for you and I don't say. Oh, never let you go. मैं पूरा गाना गा रहा हूँ भाई. I'll just be with you. Far away. Oh, that is class. Nice. I just somewhere far away, everything but me. Wanna be with you. I just wanna be with you. Okay, तभी. That's the main reason. क्योंकि भाई है ना ये. Got it. I got you, man. Oh, okay. Got, okay, समझ गया. ऐसा यूज नहीं हुआ था बट ऐसा वहां पे था ही नहीं. Okay, मैंने जन्म नहीं किया था. That is my bad. That is my bad. That is my bad. It's good to know यार कि भाई क्या हो रहा है. ओके, आई डोंट थिंक मेरे को यहाँ यूज करना है. मेरे को बाहर यूज करना है. या my bad. क्योंकि यहाँ पे कन्वर्ट करेगा देन वो कहेगा व्हाट द फक इज हैपनिंग विद मी. What? They hasn't Ledania? I mean, that can be a sign, but I don't think so. Fine. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yep, understood. But shit, I thought it might run. But sign to one, तो मेरे को चेक करना पड़ेगा. Hold on, please work. Yep, I got you. क्या मैंने इसको सबमिट किया था? I don't know. तो नेक्स्ट पे आने दो. कितने पे हूँ मैं? Oh shit, damn. Okay, now we can do this later. Of course.
And that is what I was explaining in my picture also, right? I drew a picture where I was telling you that, Hive is just a client-side application. So when Hive was invented, people were really happy. They said, oh my God, that's really great. So we can get a shell and we can write commands and we can work with Hive. That is nice. But later, people started thinking, so how do you connect your database? Can you tell me? You have an Oracle database. Hmm? The Oracle database is sitting in some place. How do you connect it with the Oracle database or Microsoft SQL database? What do you use
Import
to
या
connect?
फिर
You need a
server.
client-side tool, something like MySQL Workbench or something, right?
Yeah,
You need a client-side tool to connect using JDBC or ODBC, right? JDBC, ODBC connections can be made, but for that, yeah, you will have a server where Oracle.
what the fuck was that? Okay, oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? Wait. Okay,
Is running, you need an Oracle client, some SQL client, right? So what people thought is like, okay, everything is nice about Hive, but I cannot connect to Hive from my SQL clients.
yeah,
Why?
because
Because Hive was just a command line.
command.
Look at here. That is when Hive Server 1 came. This guy will allow JDBC or ODBC connections from your regular SQL clients. That means Hive Server 1 means there will be a server running in a Hadoop cluster. Clear? Hive Server 1 is a server which is running in the Hadoop cluster. You in your laptop, if you install Hive, you can open the command prompt and type queries. Or you can use your regular SQL client tools to connect to the Hive server and perform all the activities. Right? So Hive Server 1, the option is that you can create JDBC connections from your SQL client directly to Hive. So you can insert into a table, you can do whatever queries you want, you can directly run in your client. Very easy. You don't have to use a command prompt. You can use a command prompt also. So people were really happy. Hey, great, we have Hive server, we can connect, we can run queries, blah, blah, blah. But this lacked concurrency, meaning there was no concurrency or consistency in Hive server 1. That means if multiple users create sessions to Hive, it was impossible to handle the sessions. Data
Okay,
persistence, data concurrency issues were there. That is where Hive Server 2 came. Hive Server
VLAN.
2, First of all, it
Huh.
also allows your JDBC ODBC connections. It provides concurrency, and it has a new client side command line tool called Beeline. That is Hive Server 2. So Hive Server 2 is kind
I
of
will
like an
task.
upgrade to Hive Server 1. The basic difference is that
I
it,
will
it also allows
tasks.
JDBC, ODBC, but
Tasks.
it provides
Tasks.
concurrency. That means
Tasks.
multiple JDBC, ODBC connections are possible. You can work with Hive, but they have redesigned the CLI of Hive, and the new CLI is called
Beeline.
Beeline. Still, it supports the old CLI, and the new CLI is called Beeline. Beeline is actually a client which you can install, like SQL client. So I can go to a computer, install Beeline client. From
To
there,
my
I
line,
can make a
please.
server, and he is using the Hive query language. Now, you can, if you are a person, either you can interact with Hive through CLI. That is what I'm saying. CLI means it can be the Beeline client or regular command line, Hive shell. I will show you the Hive shell. It's an interactive shell. Or JDBC, ODBC. That means you are having a SQL client. From there you can connect. Or a web UI. Hive also provides a web UI. Hmm?
Okay.
And whatever ways, look at the arrow. If you are using the CLI, directly you will be hitting Hive. That means hitting Hive in the sense, if you're using the CLI, you will be directly creating tables, etc., etc. But if you are using the JDBC, ODBC, these sessions are handled by Hive Server 2. So we are having Hive Server 2. So the main purpose of Hive Server 2 is to handle this multiple sessions that are created by users through JDBC, ODBC. That is why there is a difference in the arrow. CLI means you are directly invoking Hive. JDBC, ODBC means you're connecting through the Hive server. So either you use CLI or you use JDBC, ODBC. Now, where will I install Hive Server 2? It is not necessary that you have to install it inside a Hadoop cluster, right?
You
It can
said
be
earlier.
outside the Hadoop cluster also. See this
Yeah.
picture. Your Hive Server 2 is outside the Hadoop cluster in this picture. Now, so like I explained, you sit, if you use CLI, directly it is Hive. If you use JDBC, ODBC, it goes through Hive server. But again, the sessions are handled by Hive server, but it is ultimately Hive, right? Now, in the picture, it is very clearly shown that the Hadoop cluster is separate. That means Hive server need not be installed inside a Hadoop cluster. It can be outside. In most of the cases, it is installed outside as well, right? Now, inside the Hive architecture, you can see compiler, optimizer, executor. But how does Hive know where is the data? Or in other words, what about metadata? See,
कैसे दे
for
रखे हैं?
any database or data warehouse or
आईडी
any system, you need
वही
to
होगा
store
ऑपरेशन.
metadata. What about the metadata? So
मेटा
in
डेटा.
Hive, what
मेटा
happens?
डेटा.
There is something called Metastore service. What is Metastore service? It is a service running to handle metadata. What is metadata? The definition of your table, the definition of your database, the schema of your table, all this is metadata. So you need to store the metadata somewhere, right? So that is what is handled by this Metastore
सर्विस.
service.
ओके.
By default, Hive uses something called embedded Metastore. Metastore. This meta Derby database. So what happens is that by
डर.
default, if you are downloading and installing Hive, it comes with a database called Derby, Apache Derby. Apache Derby is a database, and it will use this Derby database to store the metadata. Clear? So that is called embedded metastore. Embedded metastore means by default, if you just download and install Hive, Hive will need some place to store the metadata. So it by default comes with this Apache Derby database, and it starts using Derby to store the metadata. You don't have to do anything.
Bro,
It will be all
zoning out.
configured.
I'm zoning out.
Okay, so this embedded metastore is good because you're saying that if I'm downloading and installing Hive, right, it will come with a database and it will store the metadata in the database. This is all good. But this Derby has a drawback. The Derby database is a single instance database. That means it will allow only one connection at a time. That means if you are using the embedded metastore of Hive, only one person can access Hive. So that is a drawback. So what you can do is that you can configure your own database as metadata storage for Hive. Example, MySQL. So this is what we do in production. Meaning in production, what we do is that we will download and install Hive. Now we know that Hive will start working automatically because it will use Derby to store the metadata. But when it is using Derby to store the metadata, right, what happens is that it will allow only one connection at a time because Derby will allow only one connection. So we don't do that. What we do is that we will configure something like MySQL and ask Hive to store the metadata in MySQL so that multiple people can access Hive. The latest version of Hive allows updates, but all other versions of Hive by default does not allow updates because remember it is Hadoop. Hadoop is a write once read many system. In Hadoop there is no update process, right? You copy the data, you delete the data, you again copy the data. It is all writing the data and reading many times. But the latest version of Hive allows you to do that. It
Okay,
selectively can update it. Okay, it can refer to the position of the block in the data node. So Hive
okay.
can by default talk to Hadoop. It can understand where is your data and accordingly it can do. So what you need to understand is that if you are practicing Hive on the Cloudera VM, if you are practicing Hive on the Cloudera VM, you are using embedded metastore. That means there is a Derby inside and that is storing all your metadata. Very simple. But if you go to a company and start working on Hive, right, then the metadata will be stored in a separate database like MySQL. That is the difference. So two types of metadata storages are possible. So if a user write a query, the query will be accepted by somebody called a driver. The driver is not shown in the picture, but there is a driver. And the driver will pass it to somebody called compiler. Hmm? Compiler will check with the metastore to get the metadata and compile your query. Then
Okay.
optimizer will optimize it and give to executor. Executor is your MapReduce and MapReduce will run your query in the cluster. So step number one, user writes the query and the query comes to Hive. Okay. And first step is
Oh, briefly.
compiling the query. Now you
Oh,
won't
damn.
simply compile the query because you need the metadata. So you will check with the metadata store about the metadata. Once you get the metadata, you compile the query and there is a component called optimizer. It will optimize your MapReduce code so that it can perform better and then give it to another component called executor. Executor is normally your MapReduce.
One second, guys. 1 second. I have to go. Just a second. That let us continue.
program. I mean MapReduce engine, and that will execute your query and show the result. There are two situations, okay? Again, this is coming mostly from the practical aspect. If you're having a small Hadoop cluster, let's say you're having only 3 servers, I mean 3 data nodes, 4 data nodes, etc. And so it's a very small cluster, right? And normally this cluster will be accessed by only a couple of guys. So if you're sitting here, you have a computer, entire Hive will be installed here. Your Hive server will be running, everything will be running here. Why? Because it's a small cluster. There is no point in installing here and then connecting. You can install Hive, but usually, so I'm talking different use cases. I'm talking different use cases. In small Hadoop clusters, where you're having 3 to 4 data nodes and all, you will not do any heavy lifting. Why are you creating small Hadoop clusters? It might be for proof of concept. You are not actually running any production workload. So that means in this case, there is no Hive component in the Hadoop cluster. Entire Hive package is on your machine. Hive server, Hive CLI, whatever you call, anything starting with Hive is on your computer. Nothing is there in the cluster. Are you getting my point? Why? Why? Because either you or only your friend will be accessing this. And you don't need a separate client server and all, right? Because it's a very small cluster. So you install all the package on your computer, and then you can also install SQL client on your computer and create a JDBC connection. From here it will connect, etc., etc. But everything will be on your computer because it is a small Hadoop cluster. Now, what if it is a very big Hadoop cluster? In a very large Hadoop cluster. Hmm? So this is a large Hadoop cluster,
Emphasis on ours.
say thousands of data nodes. You will have something called a gateway node. Have you guys heard about this? What is a gateway node? Have you guys heard about this? No, I think. What is a gateway node? This guy will have connectivity with Hadoop. Hmm? And it's a Linux machine. Imagine it's a Linux machine. Here, you will install everything. You will have your Hadoop client here. You will be having your, what you say, Hive server here, and maybe Pig. Everything will be installed here. And what you do is that if you're sitting here, right, you have a laptop. You don't install here. Maybe on your laptop, this is your laptop, right? So this guy is sitting here. This guy is sitting here. What he can do is that he can do multiple things. He can SSH to this machine, connect to
Okay,
this machine. So he log into this machine, and from here he can type Hive. He get a command prompt, start working on the cluster.
smart.
Now another guy is sitting here. He has a laptop, okay, and here he has installed, let's say, SQL workbench, SQL client. Hmm? Now, if you open the SQL workbench, it will connect to this, and from here it will connect to this, right? So what is the gateway node? Gateway node is nothing but is a server, okay? It acts like an intermediate between you and Hadoop cluster. In large Hadoop clusters, you will not be directly logging onto the cluster. You will never even see your cluster. It is strictly prohibited. You cannot access your cluster. All you do is that you connect to this gateway node From here you can do anything. So if you prefer the CLI, what you do is that you log on to this gateway node using SSH. From there you are on the gateway node. You type Hive CLI, you get Hive CLI. Or if you're having a SQL client, okay, you give the details of this gateway, and this will connect to the gateway. From there it will connect to the large cluster. Right? So all the client packages are actually installed in the gateway node. That is my point. So you have two options. Either you log on to the gateway node. So now you log into the gateway node and open the command prompt and say hit Hive, you will see the Hive shell. You start working. Or if you're having a SQL workbench, your Hive server will be running on this gateway node. Okay, SQL workbench will connect to Hive server and to your cluster. Interface of Hive. Just type Hive and hit enter.
Oh shit, अभी क्या?
And this is the Hive shell. So this is the command line interface of Hive, the interactive shell of Hive. What you see is Hive shell. Now,
Okay,
once you are in the Hive shell, most of the commands that you type need no introduction because the commands are SQL commands and most of you are familiar with SQL,
yep,
right? For
I think
example,
so.
I can say first command probably if you log on to any of these systems, the first command you will probably type is show databases. You can see all the databases that got created. Now, the best way to understand Hive is to start working with Hive. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say create database,
Name.
let's say Dell, and if I do a show databases,
Very good.
it will be there. There is a database called Dell. Now, if you want to use it, just say use Dell. So when you say use Dell, the database has changed. So now you're using the database called Dell. Fine. So far, so good. Now,
Yeah,
these are regular things, right? Now, let's take a sample scenario and see how we can use Hive to solve a problem. Rather than just speaking about Hive, right?
okay, I
Let's
think this is good. This is good. This is a good place where we can stop. This is a, like best place. Like क्योंकि भाई we're just learning to भी कैसे start हो रहा है. भाई कल I'll come to this bitch. Wait a second. Um, yep, we good now. मैं सुबह I just want to अपने बाल को क्या हो रहा है यार? मैं अभी गेम नहीं खेल रहा हूँ बस खाना आने वाला है 20 minutes. So I can do now is I can go and do my skill. Yeah, let's just do a skill. Two space separated integers. What the fuck do you mean by that? Months into ठीक है. Oh, what the fuck मैंने देखा भी नहीं और मैंने देखा. Fuck. Total and the maximum total earnings to be. We defined total earnings to be there. Okay, monthly, and the maximum total earnings. And the maximum total earnings to be the maximum total earnings. What the fuck? I don't understand why, but I am pretty sure I can't crack this program. I should go and see मैं डाल सकता हूँ वो समझ नहीं आ रहा मैक्सिमम कैसे डालना Wait, this should work 100%. वो समझ ही नहीं आ रहा लेट्स चेक ये वर्क होता है employees total earnings to be the max to earn. कहाँ पे है मैक्स मुझे मेरे को बताया नहीं बस उसने केस स्टेट में डालो क्या मैं किसने कितना काम किया है ओके समझ गया मैं ओके आई थिंक अंडरस्टैंड नाइस ओके आई थिंक आई अंडरस्टैंड थोड़ा बहुत क्या है बनाएगा No, yeah. Hey, I might have to go. I will not lie. For a plans changes again. I might have to go, and there should be a part three. But I think me ऐसे ही करने वाला हूँ. Let's just check कि ये work भी करता है. I don't know ये work करता है. Okay. Wow. Oh shit. नहीं मैं गलत कर रहा हूँ. 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 ना मैं गलत कर रहा हूँ. Okay, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I can see that. Um, okay, मैं इसको यहाँ पे हटा दूँ. Please. Let's check. Let's check. मेरे दिमाग तो ऐसे ही आ रहा है बस. And I think मेरा खाना भी आने वाला है. So guys, I have to go now. I will be back in just a few hours. I don't know मैं कब आने वाला हूँ, but to be honest, maybe I have to complete this bitch. ये बड़े 2 घंटे. 2 घंटे is fine. 2 घंटे is fine. 2 घंटे is fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, guys, I'm going. I'm logging on. Bye.